What is up, guys? Welcome back to this episode of the Road to Redemption podcast. I'm, as always, your host, Cam Williamson, and I'm, as always, stoked to be with you guys. If you can't tell, a little different energy in the building. I've been gone away from content. I was making content over on Instagram and over on TikTok, stuff like that, TikTok. I really enjoy it over there. It's fun. It's short. It doesn't take as long as these daggone things to edit and do all that. It's been fun. But that took up a very small time, portion of my time in the last week or so. So we'll talk about it, right? The last video, if you guys follow everything that I do, the last video you should have seen was a skate vlog. Just me skating and kind of giving lessons to my skate community. Some motivational tips and stuff like that. Before that, you guys should have seen the video, Cancer Sucks, Take a Hike. That's where I told you guys the news that I got, that I was talking about at the end of the last podcast, which was that my mother was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. So I had to leave. And I went to Ohio, and I was in Ohio for about 4 days. I wasn't able to see my mother the day I got down there. She was at work, and throughout her day, she was in a lot of pain. She had a biopsy a couple days prior, which is how she found out she was diagnosed with cancer from the biopsy. And then, so she had complications from that. She goes into the ER and has complications while she's in there. They think she's going to have a surgery while she's in the hospital. So she stays in there. Never gets the surgery. They decide at the last day that her body had done what it was supposed to do, and she didn't need the minor surgery that would have required her to get out of the hospital. But she's still looking down the barrel of a major surgery. I won't go into the details of it. It's not my business to go into, but it's a pretty major surgery. It's a big deal. So any thoughts and, well wishes, prayers, whatever you want to call them, please send them to my mother. I appreciate everyone that reaches out to me and stuff like that, but I am not the one that's ill. I know that people say, yeah, but you're struggling with dealing with it. Well, not right now, I'm not. Not right now. Right now, it's time to send all the positive and encouraging energy to my mother that we can, right? I think that's important at times like now. So I get home, right? I got to see my mother for a few hours. I got into the hospital that she was admitted in, and we got to hang out for a couple hours. It was nice to be home. I got to pretty much stay with my grandmother, who took care of me, waited on me hand and foot, just wanted to make me every delicious meal in the world. I didn't have much of an appetite just with the stress and the drive and stuff, but I got some pretty good food in. It was dope. I decided, since my mother kept getting extended in the hospital, I couldn't just keep, staying in Ohio indefinitely, just to try to physically just be there with her during all this for a couple of days. It just didn't work out. So packed it up, came home, back to Tennessee, and the day I got home, I picked my daughter up. That's why I was trying to leave on time so I could pick my daughter up from school. Got her, and they didn't say anything to me, nothing, while I picked her up from school. Bring her home, and almost as soon as we walk in the door, I get an email from the school that she goes to, saying one of her teachers tested positive for COVID. She's not shown any symptoms or anything like that. This regulation and that rule and this regulation says that we have to shut down, her classroom. None of the kids can come in for 14 days. I'm like, okay. At this point, I'm so burnt out, mentally, emotionally, physically too, from the drive and everything. I'm just busted, inside and out. I'm just busted up. If you guys go back and look at pictures of me from my time in Ohio, I was smoking cigarettes, which I don't do. I was literally running on caffeine and willpower to be there for my family. That was about it. So I got home, and they were like, all right, you got 14 days of, I call it daddy daycare. And I know I'm going to have 2 podcasting women pissed off at me for the name of this podcast, but they'll get over it. They probably won't even make their radar. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, good. It's a trash podcast. But so Daddy Daycare was open for business, and I became a stay-at-home dad for 14 days and hung out with my daughter, took her to the park, just really dug into being a dad. And we're going to talk now about like what all does that entail, not just dads. This, especially the stay-at-home life, is typically known more as a mother thing, a stay-at-home mom. But let me tell you, man, the stay-at-home dad game is different. It's different. Or just stay-at-home parenting. I'll just refer to it as that because everybody's situation is completely different. If you're used to waking up in the morning, spending time with your kids, and then you drop them off to school, you go to work, you put in the 8 hours, and it's funny because the whole time you're at work, you're going, if I could just be at home with my kids, everything would be good, right? I would be happy. I would be fulfilled. We could go and we could do things, right? That's the big one. So then you're home and you go, well, when I'm home or when I'm not doing my thing, making videos and stuff, well, I'm not working. I'm not making money. So I can't really do all the things that your mind would tell you that you would like to do because your, finances are being altered a little bit, right? Then you're at home and you're like, well, I have a kid here with me. And this is, my child who I love more than anything in this entire planet. I can't just let her sit here. Like, I'm not a teacher, right? I'm not a teacher. I'm a father, and I'm a content creator. So, oddly enough, I didn't panic finding out that I was going to be essentially just stay-at-home daddy daycare solo dolo by myself for 14 days. I just go, this is going to be new. Like, whatever we come up with, it's going to be really new and it's going to be exciting for us. And I remember thinking for the first time in my life, like, damn, that's hope for me. Because 3 months ago, I couldn't even take my kids to the park. Even if I was with somebody, if there was another adult there, I couldn't do that. And being honest, it's because of some of the things with my PTSD is I snap off real fast. And I'm pretty good about not doing it now. I'm good. Certain situations call for that, and most situations don't. But I also have a part of me that once I go to certain areas of my mentality and what needs to be done, there's no stopping it. So I have always found it best that me and my family go places and do things at times when the crowds are not so busy. And it's not because I don't like people or I don't want to get to know people. And I know people are thinking, well, that's not fair to your kids. They should be allowed to socialize. And they do. They go to school and stuff like that. But as far as stuff like going to the zoo and going to the park and all that kind of stuff, I get nervous because I am a firm believer in you don't parent other people's kids. So you don't have say in how other parents are going to handle their, kids and the situations that may arise when they're playing together in public. A lot of kids need to be wrangled all the time. If you guys have ever heard the term, it's like herding cats. Well, that's what it is. If you have a child from the ages of like 18 months old to 18, I'm guessing. I don't have them that old, but my oldest is going to be 6 soon. Kid. And if you have them from that age range, you'll understand there's no stopping them, right? You're not going to stop them after they're like the age of a year and a half. They're fast. It's not that you're not as fast, but they know, and they're very smart. So the second you take your eyes away from them, they've already made a plan for the last thing you told them not to do 10 times ago. They've got it in their head that the second our eyes disconnect from one another, boom, I'm gone. And I'm going to that thing. And you have to be that ready to turn your head and just go and act. And in those instances, if someone was to put hands on my daughter, even trying to help and grab her or something like that, I don't know at this point in my life how I would react. So I think it's best that we slowly work our way up. But I started this on a positive note. It was good. I went by myself with my daughter every day to the park. I took her to the store a few times, which was always a huge challenge for me. And I know a lot of this stuff, guys, probably sounds like, well, la-di-freaking-da, my guy. Like, a lot of this is pretty common sense stuff that you're doing. But I'm saying it because this is a mental health podcast, and there's a lot of parents out there that suffer from mental health. And guess what? This pandemic has made it even worse. As far as people having issues being around others, especially large crowds of people, it used to be small communities dealt with this issue. Now it's most of us. And you see that while it may feel like people's tendencies to be violent are higher now, I can promise you that could not be further from the truth. What you're seeing is a lot of acting. Right? The people that you should worry about are the ones that are really just trying to mind their business and go home. Because those people will hurt you if you interfere with them and what's going on in their life. They will. They're not making a show about it. They don't need to make a big stink about the deal. They don't yell at people for wearing masks. It's not their thing. They do what they do. And if you cross this line here, well, now you're my problem, and I'm going to handle that the way I need to handle that. And this isn't something to try to make it seem like, I don't know, I'm some Billy Badass or anything like that. It's just, I know where my strengths and my weaknesses lie. And I know when too much is too much. And here's the thing. When you're a stay-at-home parent, you have to know your level. And you have to be okay with the fact that your level is very different than probably your sister's, what your mother's level was when you were a kid, what you thought everyone's levels should have been when you were younger, and what you think your level should be now of handling situations. Parenting is stressful. It's stressful. It's need and responsibility. Yes, it's also love and, amazing, and it's everything, that you'll never understand if you don't have kids. But on the real, it's also insanely stressful to be needed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and my daughter happens to just be at a point in her life where she's struggling to sleep at night. So she's up a lot at night. So, it's my responsibility as her father on my worst day and on her worst day to go, look, this is how we operate in this house. And it doesn't matter like what happens outside of here. It doesn't matter what the whole world is saying. This is how we act in this house, and this is how we act outside of this house. Like when you're with me, you stay with me. You don't go running off where I can't see you. You guys would be amazed when I go to the park and I watch people go, oh, okay. And it's like they let a dog off the leash. Well, where are you going? You just let your kid run off, and then they're sitting over on the... And the way my brain works, this might be weird or whatever, but the way my brain works, I'm like, dude, if I was a kidnapper, your kid would be gone. Your kid would be gone. I truly don't understand here we go. Complacency in parenting. Complacency in parenting. That was going to sound good rolling off the tongue, and I went and fucked it up. Complacency in parenting is one of the things that irritates me to my absolute core. It's how I knew I was supposed to be a father from the day I could recognize my own thoughts. I tell the story a lot, but I remember asking my mom at a very young age, at a birthday. She was like, "What do you want for your birthday?" I was like, "I want to adopt a son." I just wanted to be a dad. And I knew that from a young age, I watched people be parented horribly and have their feelings completely invalidated and not listened to. Now, listen, my kids will probably come up saying that I'm a pretty strict dad, right? I don't put up with disrespect in any tone. I'm probably more lenient than some dads in a lot of facilities, too. I'll let you jump off shit. I don't really care, as long as I'm watching you and I can make sure that you're safe and all that. I'm not the dad. I try not to helicopter parent in that way. But as far as when I watch you make decisions that are stupid, I don't care if you are 2 or 20. I'm going to tell you, hey, that was dumb. And I need you to understand. Sorry, there's a gnat flying around. I need you to understand that that was dumb, because one day I'm not going to be with you. And if you do some dumb shit like that when you're not with me and I find out about it, God help you if you're in a hospital or a jail, I'm going to be pissed, right? Like, and that then is a different situation for you. You do dumb shit and you deal with other people, fine. You do dumb shit and deal with other people, and I told you not to do that? Like, come on. And that's where I struggle as a father, because I've done a lot of dumb shit, right? My father and I talk about this quite often. I think the beginning of a lot of my antics was a conversation that my pops and I had one night, which is where he told me all the stories of when he was a kid and what they did and running around and acting crazy and shit. And I almost was like, oh, that's the missing piece that I've been missing. I haven't gone out and gotten any trouble, stirred anything up. I've always been a pretty good kid. Well, let's do this. And then I realized that doing stuff like that, yeah, it's whatever. Yeah, it gives you a story. And I think that's what I kind of got addicted to, was becoming the legend of the stories that we were telling, of the, the antics that we were pulling. And I don't want my kids to feel like they have to do that to find or to be validated in themselves or to feel loved or to have friends, right? That's my goal as their father. So anywho, that's been the last week and a half, 2 weeks of my life. I'm back, as you guys see, content going up everywhere. If you don't, follow me on TikTok, Instagram, everywhere that you guys are on social media. Make sure you're thumbs up in this video. Subscribe before you get out of here. If you guys want to check out the rest of them, go do that. It's all here. It's all on Apple Podcasts, everywhere you consume them. And I'm getting out of here. Hope you guys know how much I love you, and I'll check you out next week. Love you.